And hello, this is ModelOmega, and you're watching Chapter 14 of my Thracia 776 Let's Play. This is by far the most fun chapter in the entire game, and is probably my favorite Fire Emblem chapter, period. Well, either that or 2F of Radiant Dawn. I just love siege chapters in Fire Emblem games, and this one is definitely the best. Just look at this. And it gets even better. I don't see Reist. Yes, I believe he has either fallen or been captured. I feel sorry for him. If I may, sir. Reist directly went against his commander's orders. He only got what he deserved. Perhaps not. I was never in favor of the attack on Tara. My hesitation had led many soldiers to their deaths. It is my responsibility. Laugh at me, Baldak. Laugh at this old coward. Commander. But I won't hesitate anymore. I am a warrior of Frege. I must fulfill my duties. Will you help me, Baldak? Yes, of course, Commander Paulus. The main forces of my 8th Legion have arrived. Let us commence the attack. Yes, I will send my forces to aid you once they are ready. Knowing you, I doubt I need to say this, but be careful. Yes, I will swear to my honor that I will bring Tara down. Lady Lenoan, the attack has begun. The Empire's full-scale attack. What is Lord Leaf doing? The Prince is having a meeting with the other commanders. I see. Is Dean with them? Dean is watching the South Gate because he doesn't feel comfortable at meetings. My brother can be difficult at times. No, I would never have survived without him. After my father was killed, our mansion was taken away, and for 2 years I was unable to even go outdoors freely. The cruel surrogate would constantly threaten me to tell him where the prince was. The thought of that abuse still sends shivers down my spine. But then, Dean rescued me from that nightmare. He protected me for the Empire's assassins and always cheered me up when I was about to break down. He always laughed it off, but I was sure he was a well-known mercenary. I never knew he was working under Lord Arian. Lord Arian knew about the danger Tara was in, so he secretly ordered my brother to rescue you. Dean was so pleased at the trust the prince was putting in him that he abandoned the army to fulfill his prince's commands. Lord Arian went through that much? He couldn't leave the country, but then again, he couldn't let you, his fiancée, die. I can only imagine how troubled he was. Anyway, please don't worry, Lady Lenoan. Your kindness has not gone unnoticed by Dane and Nova. You must believe in our victory. Now I must go out and fight as well. Alright. So, right off the bat, I just want to apologize at first. I didn't realize that I had my sound muted while I was recording this first part, so it's completely devoid of any audio. So, I'm going to put in some appropriate music for the occasion. Ah, that'll do quite nicely indeed. Righto, so as you can probably tell, this chapter is very heavy on the strategizing side of things. So, let's break this down piecewise. In this first part, I am going to take care of the ballista here. There are 2 on the right and 2 on the left, and they can hit almost anywhere inside the city, around the houses on the left and the right, so taking them out is a pretty good first call to make. I'm having Karen go after the ones here. I had her use a leg ring, which honestly I really should have done earlier in this playthrough, but that's enough of that. With that and the help of Laura, she can reach this first ballista, and then just hang out right next to the second and not get hit by it. Of course, this leads her up to attack from the armors, but, well, you know, it's either she lives or I have to repeat the first turn, so it's not super much of a loss. On the left side, I'm going to have Olwen take these guys out with bolting. Her base magic isn't high enough though, so I just have her chug a holy water, which will boost her magic by 7 points, allowing her to OH KO the ballista with her bolting tome. And then there are a bunch of side objectives to this chapter. The biggest one you're going to want to tackle is easily the Gaiden chapter. Yes, there's one right after this. 6 of the red houses inside the city have villagers in them, and if you visit, they will talk about their concerns, and won't actually give you anything. Visit at least 3 of them, and you'll be able to proceed to Chapter 14X after this chapter. Although, if you want to be really honest, it's actually a pretty disposable chapter. It doesn't really do much. You don't get any unique items or such, aside from basically infinite amount of rewarp staffs. So if you really want to skip it, you probably don't need to do it, but it's pretty harmless all that said and done. The other two really big side objectives also involve having to visit red houses. The house on the bottom right of this chapter holds a Resire Tome. Getting to it is very difficult without a warp staff, unless you're able to drive enough of the enemy away. But if you get the Resire Tome, you'll be able to have Linoan use it, and that's always a really great thing. Resire, if you do not know, is kind of like the Nosferatu version of light magic if you played other Fire Emblem games. And by the way here, I'm speeding up pretty much every enemy turn, because they'll take forever regardless. Trust me, I'm doing you a favor. I axed off about 30 minutes of time throughout this whole thing. Anyway, yeah. She and a couple other units, but mostly her, will use it, and it's really great to have around. The last side objective almost certainly requires at least one use of a warp staff, so I'll go over that. In the very last house on the bottom left, right next to the enemy boss, there is a very special item you can get. But first, here's a conversation. Hey, what are you packing up for? You leaving or something? Ha, staying here would be for naught. Whoa, you can't leave yet. The people living here served you that much because they wanted your help. You're not going to be very popular if you leave now, especially among the women. No, my servants have come to pick me up. I'm a prince, so I can't leave my country for very long. Oh, so you're the Prince of Isaac? Come on, give me a break. You can't fool me. Oh, you knew? I'm a bard, you know. I know Prince Shannon's face. Well, anyway, do what you want. Anyone would want to save his own life first. There's no reason to follow along with this city. So you too? Yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow after I have my fun tonight. Alright, then I'll be going. We might meet again. Hey, wait a second. At least tell me your real name. It's Shannon. Huh, at least your names sound alike. See ya, Prince Shannon. So anyway, as I was saying, if you can have Dean reach the house in the bottom left, and only Dean by the way, he'll have a special conversation and in turn receive his special weapon, the Dragon Lance, which is essentially the exact same thing as Finn's Brave Lance. They even have the same palette and everything, except it doesn't give him a luck boost, but instead gives him the ambush ability, which basically turns Dean into the physical equivalent of Olwen, except he can attack at range, so you can't just drop him willy-nilly, and bows will still kind of mess his day up. A common strategy that is recommended to people new for this chapter in this game is to have Seifi, or someone else that would somehow have A staffs, and I don't think you're likely to, use a warp staff to move Dean to the house, have him visit it to get the Dragon Lance, and then have Laura allow Seifi to move again with dancing, and then have her rescue him back. But I'm going to try something a little different. I'm going to take out the boss, which basically means I'm going to have to put him to sleep because any unit that gets sent down there is just going to get eviscerated. I was kind of spurred on to do this actually by Cake Attack's LP on LP Archive, in which that's what he did. So, credit to him for that. I actually got a lot of ideas for other things in here from him. Or her, I'm actually not quite sure what the gender is, but it doesn't really matter, I guess. By the way, that's a pretty good LP you should check out. It's all text-based, so it's not interactive in a sense like this is, but it's still pretty funny and pretty good read as well. And anyway, besides all of those optional objectives to accomplish, your main goal for this chapter is to protect the very topmost area, is actually a throne, from any enemy from reaching it. So this is a defense chapter. After 10 turns have passed, the chapter automatically ends, and every single turn, there will be 4 armors and a mage on each side, and by the end, you'll eventually have Dragon Knights and Dark Mages approaching. So, be wary about that. There are only 4 checkpoints for these guys to get in, and to be honest, you can actually probably get away with blocking 2 of them, and then having the rest of your units amass near the center to take the rest out, but it's pretty easy to actually block all 4 of them out. The armors don't have too much threatening stats, but the 2 bosses here, their leadership stars add up enough, and they can pose a serious threat, which is one of the reasons why I thought I would try and take out the boss for this chapter. And also taking him out means that no more armors and mages will spawn, so there's incentive to do that if you want to try out my strategy here. Anyway, if you noticed there was that conversation from the last enemy phase, if you have Nana go to the house where they were talking, you can get a new character. And that's why I said that you don't use Nana in the last chapter, because she's the only person that can recruit this particular person. So let's do that. Oh, nice. Very nice. I'll cancel my other offers for you, babe. Huh? What are you talking about? You see, this is my last night here. I want to make love to you all, but I've only got one body, so... Ow! Whoa, babe, what was that for? What are you thinking? Even the children and the elderly are working hard to protect this city. And you're just sitting here drinking in broad daylight. You should be ashamed. Hey, you don't have to cry. Okay, I'll help you out. Okay? But I'm not strong, so don't give me any heavy work. And just like that, we recruit Homeros, or Homer the Bard. No, not that one. Get your mind out of the gutter. It's this guy here with the purple hair. He is a pretty damn awesome mage. Well, Homer is actually a bard. They're identical to mages in every way, except that bards can use light magic off the bat, which is what Homer specializes in, and they, for some reason, get better promotion bonuses when they promote to sage. Yeah, I don't really get it either. But anyway, Homer starts at a somewhat low level, and unlike Asphalt, he doesn't really have a super awesome tome to back up his use, although lightning is actually pretty powerful. It's the other things about him that really make him awesome. Homer has really great growths, and he also has the elite skill, which allows him to gain double the amount of experience. So there's always that. He'll level up very quickly, and he'll promote to a Sage, which is, as I've stated, the best class in the whole game, and you will want every Sage you can get. There's really no bad Sage in this game. They're just all really, really awesome. And Homer is no exception. Definitely use him. There's really no downside to using so. Even in a 0% run, Sage promotions are so bullshit that he'll always be useful. You'll also want to remember the man he was talking to in that scene. The very obviously not Shannon. He appears once more in the next chapter, and you can recruit him if you go down the B route, but I'm going down the A route because it's better for story purposes, and I think it's overall more fun, exciting. It's the route I always recommend to people, but I know there are a lot of people that also like the B route and like to make it their default for the same reasons that I do, but I don't know, I just always felt that A clashes better. I may do B as a bonus video down the road, but currently I don't really have plans to go through it. I especially don't like B, Chapter 16B. Oh, I just hate chapters like that, with the random teleports and crap. But I'll get to that if I have to get to that. Man, the amount of reinforcements you'll go through on this chapter is really, really overwhelming. It really, really does make you feel that no matter how hard you try, you're going to get overrun eventually. If you had the best units with the best weapons, they just come at you at least until your weapon's broken. Then they would just maul on past you. I mean, it really does feel almost hopeless. And it kind of is, well, minor spoiler alert, but I mean, just look at this. This is ridiculous. There's like 40 or so armors out there. Actually, like 25 or something, but they just keep coming and coming. Luckily, they don't spawn on the bottom, just on the left and the right, but it's just this initial wave that'll get at you, and then Dragon Knights start showing up out of nowhere, and they trick you. I'll show you how, you'll see how they trick you when you get to that, but it's a very dirty trick, I'll say. Also, it's kind of weird that I've had Marita for 3 chapters now, and I've barely used her, and she got her first level there. She's going to turn out to be a really awesome unit. You'll see. Baldak here can be a bit of a trouble because he's equipped with a Master Lance, which he decided not to attack Fergus with, even though he actually probably could have killed him with it. He also has a Horse Slayer in addition to that Killer Bow, and it's probably best that he tries to attack you with that, which means you can just pelt him at a distance. Taking him out also removes three leadership stars from the enemy, so it's best to try and take him out as soon as you can before you start dealing with other enemies. And there's also no point in trying to capture him since he has 20 build, meaning he can't be captured. You could try stealing stuff, but I doubt you would have anyone that could really steal anything but his killer bow, and if you do that, it'll probably just de-equip him to his Master Lance, and you probably don't want that to happen. Also, the armory here sells all manner of swords, slim, iron, steel, silver. Might want to stock up on those if you have the chance. And they mentioned this a long way ago in Chapter 9, but this is one of the few stores in the game that sells S-strings, so if you have a bit of money, you might want to pick up a couple of those as well. Although, if you're going to go to the chapter after this, you can get up to 6 there, so maybe it's not an issue. Although, I have trouble sometimes getting more than 3. Taking Baldak out here was my prime concern, so I sent my most well-armed person that can take out armors to have a shot at him. Probably shouldn't have been Pawn though, because he was already injured and, well, if he doesn't take him out, he can't get out of the way like Fergus can. Doi! He had an Armor Slayer too. Past me. Well, this is my final recording, so I must have taken him out in the end, so we'll get back to that in a bit. A good idea when you're holding these choke points on the left and the right is to not put a unit directly where the place they plow through is. Go a couple spaces inwards so they're forced to go single file, and only 2 people can attack you at a time, one ranged and one at close. On the bottom, it's not too much of a concern because you only have that initial wave to deal with, but also you might want to keep that in mind, although you can't really make them go single file in this case because there aren't any houses directly on the side, which does open you up to more ranged attacks, so take some caution in that. That's probably the place where you want to put your beefier guys to start with, because Baldak will attack either one of them after the first couple turns or so. If there's one particular set of enemies that you should probably watch out the most for, it's the Lance Armors. They come in packing Great Lances, which are pretty much Silver Lances, but I think even more powerful. These guys will pretty much 2KO any one of my units here, and also probably yours if you make it to this chapter. Seriously, be very careful around those ones. They can almost flat out take out lesser units themselves, and they tend to have pretty good hit as well. By the way, when I said that you needed to visit at least 3 houses for the next Gaiden chapter, I would recommend that you try to visit all 6 of them, because for each one you visit, you'll be able to acquire at least 1 more S-string, so there's a bit of incentive for you. It's not that hard, just have Ada fly around and do things, because, well, she's not really going to contribute much, and oh geez, I just completely forgot to talk about Ada and Dean. Let's do that now. Ada and Dean, sister and brother, are the first 2 and also the last 2 Dragon Knights you'll get in this game. Ada is flat out terrible. She's basically Karen, but actually worse, because she joins much later and at pretty much the same level and stats. She does have a better lance rank, at least, but there's really no point to use her if you've already trained Karen, because they're basically the same unit. Dean, on the other hand, is a completely different story. He starts at a much higher level with great stats and good growths. He's also holding the Dane Scroll, which boosts your defense growth by 30%, your movement growth by 5%, but decreases your speed growth by 5%. It's definitely one of the best scrolls in the game, and you're going to want to hand that around to units that have low defense. And like I said, Dean also gets his signature weapon, which pretty much makes him one of the best units in the game. And if you have to bring him indoors for whatever reason, even though Dragon Knights get the worst penalties for dismounting, he has an A rank in swords in addition to lances. So he'll at least be useful indoors since he can use pretty much anything. But yeah, use Dean, don't use Ada. I guess if you really, really wanted to use Ada, you'd probably have to give her the Elite Scroll, but honestly, it's really not worth it. You really don't need more than 2 flying units in this game. And I mean, in a final nail in the coffin, Ada only has a PCC of 1, while Dean has 3. I mean, it's like the game itself is telling you don't use her. because, like I said, you trained Karen, there's Ada. Done. Don't need to use her. Which kind of sucks because I really, really like Dragon Knights. I would use Ada if she at least started at a higher level with better stats. Really. That's me being honest there. Anyway, that's looking at pretty much about the end of this particular part. I wanted to get all the chaptery stuff out of the way because I'm planning on having a friend come over, or possibly another, and helping me out with parts 2 and 3 because I realized that I did not do such a great job in chapter 13. I kind of rushed that honestly because I wanted to get it out so I could get to this chapter right away. But hopefully I'll have some buddies come over and we can talk about some Fire Emblem or other gaming related things and hopefully pass the time a bit. And yeah, this has been ModelOmega. Thank you for watching and for keeping up. And I will see you later with parts 2 and later 3 of chapter 14. Like, seriously, this original recording was an hour and a half. I managed to cut it down to about an hour just by speeding up the enemy turns. Maybe I should have turned battle animations off as well, but I don't know. I don't have the heart to do that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.